Hi everyone. Had an interesting question which said, could we have a podcast on a good, in inverted commas, ending in a relationship? Such an interesting question that, isn't it? Because what we could say is a good ending is an ending that is experienced from the knowing of what we are. It's experienced from the love, the peace, the potential, the joy, the beauty of our true being, of life itself, of consciousness. Because from that space, there's total coherence, there's total authenticity, there's no resistance to the isness of life. There's absolute understanding of the conditioning that creates behavior. There's total absence of blame, either of self or of other. There's information, there's learning. That's the system in full sync, in full integration. So that's a good ending, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. A bad ending is the ending of anything from a state of confusion, or the experience of anything from the insanity of believing we are anything other than the witnessing, open, conscious space in which all of this happens. Because when we believe it's personal, then the mind seizes on it, tries to find within it the peace and the love and the freedom that it knows itself to be made of, and yet it's having to juggle these apparently fixed things and these fixed events and these fixed behaviors, and it is all so personal, and there's so much resistance in there, and there's rejection and lack and insecurity and desperate attempts to be okay within it. And it can never be. The mind can't find the resting space because the activity of mind itself is hiding that shining light of presence that we really are. So this bad ending has nothing to do with the form of the ending. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about rejection or death or humiliation or someone going off with our best friend, or our best friend going off with another friend. It doesn't matter. The form of it doesn't matter ever. It's always the space in which that ending is held or perceived. Because from confusion, from it being personal, from it being about me, from it being their choice to hurt me or my choice to hurt them, and the regret and the anger, the fury, from that space, the whole thing is a dead weight. And all memories are to be resisted. They're painful. All reminders of the person, a song or an object or a place or a particular word or a smell, painful. It's pain, pain, pain. Because it's feeding into this story of lack and of identification and of personalization, which is all coming from a confusion of mind. But oh my God, how natural also to have that confusion, because we've been told it, we've been fed it. That's the conditioning, isn't it? The absolute conditioning. Every song is telling us this. But it's not true. It's not true. And so a good ending, a good ending is, and it doesn't matter what's gone on before, a good ending is when everything is understood from that space of nothing being personal, all behavior being only what has been conditioned to be done. So there's no choice in any behavior, there's nothing personal. There are things that are available to be learned by the system, but they don't say anything about a me and me identity. And as that space is recognized more and more as the true space of our being, then there is nothing but unconditional love and nothing but understanding that the way others appear can't be any other way than the way this body mind is conditioned to perceive things. And the behavior of others can't be any other way because of the conditioning that their body mind has undergone. And so that is a good ending always, isn't it? Because there's no confusion there. There isn't that rumination of rehashing events and rehashing words and dialogues and conversations and strategizing and trying to second guess and stalking and following, all of it, that whole obsession really with the ending, because it's understood for what it is. And it's a brilliant question, this, because it's maybe the greatest leap for the conditioned mind, or the greatest falling away for this conditioned idea of self. Because when it comes to relationships, especially the ending of relationships, and especially the ending of relationships that are so close in, like with our parents or our siblings or our children or with our partner, with our best friends, it's so much part of the identity. So much of, our life and death seems to depend on these relationships. And for them to fall apart, or for the person to die, or for rejection to come into that space, is so raw, and there's so much vulnerability in that space. So no wonder the mind will so quickly go into its story, into its defensiveness and protection, into obsession with the lack that's happening. So a good ending, a good anything, is when it's true, when it's in alignment with what's true, when it's in alignment with potential and freedom and love. And we know the difference. We know the difference, because that suffering, that contraction, that spinning mind, all of it is saying, insane, back off, no solution, no answer. No matter how much the mind delves in, there's no answer here, because the whole thing is spinning around this idea of lack. There can't be any answer in those thoughts. And so the mind can settle, the presence can return, our true being can emerge again, because this mind settles down, and then we experience what we are. And in that space, then we set people free. Yeah, we allow people to die, we allow people to reject us, we allow people to do what they do. Yeah, because in that space there's an understanding that there's no possibility of controlling anything, there's no possibility of fixing anything down, of making anything permanent. Just isn't, it can't be done. And that desperation to try to is so understandable, but also such a source of pain, such a source of futile endeavor. Because from that space of presence, which is the witness to the essential transience of life, there's the full honoring and acceptance that everything is changing, that not one single detail remains in place, and that becomes the joy of life rather than the anguish. It's the joy of every tiny detail being perceived like tiny jewels that are there for 1 second and then gone, precious and transient. And that's what everything is, all of it. And that's the good ending, is the allowing of the ending. Not least because it creates space for the next. Yeah, all of it as precious. Yeah, all of it precious. It's a good question, isn't it? There's so much in it. I feel like we could talk about this forever, but hopefully that's the main essence. Yeah, thank you. Bye.